Hi guys and welcome to my channel. I thought I'd just do a little video because I've just come back from spending 2 weeks in Bali. Me and my boyfriend went for the first time. We've both never been before. I feel like I was screaming for someone to just do a video like what I'm gonna do for someone that's never been to Bali. So I just wanted to go through everything that I now know from going from that first time and how different I would do it if I went again. I'm actually just getting ready to meet my friend, so I'm gonna do my makeup and speak at the same time. So let's get started. So I'm just going to actually start from the top. So when we first ever decided to book. So we both really wanted to go somewhere that we'd never been before. And Bali has been on both of us lists that we wanted to go, which was ideal. So we actually said that we would rather go at the end of the year, towards the end of summer, because I feel like you look forward to your holiday and then if you go in summer, it just comes and goes and then it's done. Whereas I feel like if you do it at end of summer, then you still have all of the summer and then you've still got your holiday at end. So I feel like that is such a good way to do it and I would highly recommend to do that. Although there is a lot of people that say not to go in the rainy season, which is the beginning of October. We actually went September, what time, when did we fly? We went on September the 18th until the 5th of October. So we actually just went into rainy season, but we'd seen loads of videos before of these floods and we're like, oh my god, no, we're gonna just have rain every day. We didn't want to jinx it while we were there, but the weather was so good. We had sunshine more or less every day. We had like one day where it was just a bit overcast and we'd literally seen videos of all these floods and we're like, oh my god. Really wouldn't let it scare you that it's rainy season because I feel like you can go in summer. Like I know someone that went in July and it literally rained for like 2 or 3 weeks. So you really can't base it on that. We flew with Qatar Airlines, which I've never flown with Qatar before, so I was so impressed. I feel like they're such good airlines. I would definitely fly with Qatar again. The stop that we did instead of Dubai, obviously Emirates is Dubai, with Doha where we stopped. That was the layover there, so we had like 2 hours at Doha before us connecting flight to Bali. Our flights cost around £1,800, which I feel like were quite good. We actually booked them just straight after Christmas. Helped because no one's really spending money in January, so I feel like the prices come down. I think the thing that stressed us out the most before was trying to find villas and places to stay and also sort out where we was going to go and for how long because we were planning on traveling around. So we did loads of research. I feel like TikTok is your best friend and obviously YouTube, just finding places where you think you would prefer. And obviously if there's more to do in one area then obviously you would stay there longer. So we did it with 13 days just in Bali, excluding the flight time and travel time. So we actually had like 2 weeks just in Bali and we wanted to do it like that because we didn't want to go for 2 weeks and that include the travel, which I would also highly recommend to do as well because I could have stayed another 2 weeks. We ended up doing 5 nights in Canggu, 2 nights in Ubud, 2 nights in Uluwatu, and then 5 nights in Uluwatu. And I would highly recommend doing everything in that order and the length of the stays as well. So with the accommodations, we booked them all on booking.com. I feel like we looked into all of the villas as well that we were booking because I feel like the pictures that they put on booking.com can look amazing and then you get there and it just looks horrendous or it's really dirty, and that were my worst fear. When we found a villa that we liked, we looked at it on Instagram, we searched it on TikTok to see if anyone had posted any TikToks about it, we looked at all the reviews, and I feel like it took us weeks to actually book all the different villas. We sat down like every night and we'd be like, right, so we need to look at Canggu now. So we'd be searching Canggu like constantly and then we'd be like, no, we've not found anywhere, so we'd try again the next night. It were honestly a lot of work and I can see why people would prefer to go on like European holidays because if you're going somewhere like as far as Indonesia, then obviously you've got to put a lot more prep into that than what you would if you just went to, say, Spain. After we'd booked everything, we were so impressed with all the villas as well. I feel like for his first time, we smashed it. We were saying when we were there, we're like, we don't want to jinx it, but you know what I mean? Like, because everything were running so smoothly and all of the villas were so nice, like all the accommodations, like nothing went wrong. And obviously I feel like when you're there, you don't want to say anything like that because then something could go wrong. When we got back, we were like, oh my god, yeah, everything with the hotels went unreal. Also, because we did all of our bookings on booking.com, I got a notification saying, do you want to book a private transfer to your first accommodation, which I thought were really handy because I didn't even think about that because Obviously, most places you go, there's just like a taxi rank, and there is a taxi rank in Bali. Well, it's not even really like a taxi rank, there's just all of these men stood outside, but I feel like you just never know who to trust and if you're just gonna get ripped off. I ended up going for this private transfer on booking.com, which cost £15, and it was gonna take us like nearly 2 hours to get to accommodation because the traffic is so bad. If you want the guy's number that picked us up from the airport, if you're struggling, then let me know and I'll happily give you his number. I'm sure he wouldn't mind as well, because he said if you come back to Bali, then yeah, just ring me for a taxi. We're really nice. You could also use him if you were traveling to like different places as well. I would recommend that. We also were unsure on whether or not we needed to book everything before we got there, or if we could just do it whilst we were there, because we were scared that we wanted to go somewhere and then it was fully booked and we couldn't get in. I would not stress about that at all, because we only booked Finns, which I would recommend to book before. I feel like places like that, yeah, I definitely would book that before. We got a really good bed as well because I booked it really far in advance. So that were really good. If you watch my Bali vlog that I've actually put, you can see the bed that we have, and it was such a good bed. We kept having like people come in front of our bed to get pictures, and all of the workers were saying like, we're so sorry, you just have the best bed for like pictures and stuff. And I was like, what can I say? Yeah, I would recommend booking it far in advance. And then for everything else, the only other thing that we did pre-book is I booked a meal in Ubud at a restaurant called Donna. Yeah, I would book that in advance, because if I got to that restaurant and I couldn't get in, then I would be gutted, because the food is unreal. Like, it's one of the best meals I've ever had. I would recommend going there. I would say as well, do not be scared of the long flight, because that's the longest flight that I've ever actually done, and I didn't think it was bad at all. I mean, I can easily sleep on flights, so if you are someone that can't get to sleep on flights, then it would probably be worse, because the times where I was awake, I was like, watching clock a bit. But if you actually want a series to watch for a long flight, please start Desperate Housewives if you've not already watched it, because I'm currently watching it and it is the best thing ever. And I think I watched like 2 seasons on the way back. If you've got a binge-worthy show that you can watch, then it's actually just fine. Yeah, the flight, I wasn't worried about it. I just thought, oh my God, it's so long. And it were absolutely fine. I feel like they always estimate it to be longer, and you always end up getting like quicker routes and stuff. So I thought the flight were absolutely fine, to be honest. And also, coming from an overpacker herself, I have thousands of toiletries. And it's not even the fact that I overpack my toiletries. I definitely overpack clothes and shoes that I don't even wear and need. But I definitely don't overpack any toiletries, because I genuinely use so many toiletries. It's not like I can ever think, oh, I'll not bring that because I don't need it. Like, I will need it. I would say don't overpack clothes, like bags, jewellery. I literally had this massive box full of jewellery and I didn't even change any of it. Like, it's so chilled, you just don't need any of it. I did actually see a TikTok where a girl was saying the pros and cons to living in Bali, and one of the cons was that no one makes any effort, so you don't have that motivation to want to look good or feel better and stuff like that. And I can proper imagine it as well, because it is so strange. As a girl, I feel like that's what you look forward to, is getting dressed up and feeling nice and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, like, I loved it being in Bali and just being so nice and chilled and going out with like seawater hair. I feel like I really just let my hair down. I can't really describe the feeling of being in Bali, but it's honestly like magical. It's so, so good. I would just recommend anyone to go and just see for yourself. I know that there's so many horror stories about Bali and that it's all run down and it's not a nice place and stuff like that, and people hated it, but I honestly just think that it is a third world country. So if you're going with the expectation that it's all where it looks like on Instagram, then you are going to be disappointed, because obviously people don't share all the little streets that you go down that are not very pretty. But I personally feel like all of these nice areas that Bali has got, I personally feel like that is the beauty of Bali, because it is run down and stuff like that, and there is streets that are not very pretty. However, the fact that it has all these really nice restaurants and people want to go and like spend money there and stuff like that, the people are so nice, and I think they just deserve it because they're serving really good food. It makes it so nice that you can go to somewhere like that and go to all these pretty places. I just feel that is the beauty of it, to be honest. My advice would be to not overpack, just honestly pack a few cords for day to day, an overshirt for over your bikini, and like some shorts, just loads of pair of shorts for day, loads of bikinis, and then just some shirts that you can just chuck over the top of your bikini, or just some dresses that you can just slip on. Honestly, don't need any dressy dresses or all like that for day. And then same again for night. I feel like nighttime, just some basic dresses or like cord, or like just some nice shorts with like a nice top. You genuinely just don't need. I took this sequin long midi dress, did not wear that. I thought I genuinely will feel stupid if I wear that in Bali. And then it was doing my head in because when we were moving about, I was packing these dresses that I just weren't wearing. So I was like, it's really stressing me out. I wish I could just leave them, but I like them. So I didn't want to get rid of them. I would pack so much different if I went again. If you're an overpacker, don't overpack. Don't make the same mistake that I made. The next thing I'll talk about as well is the grab rides that you can get. So you'll probably seen if you've looked into Bali that you can just get on the back of a scooter. So there's an app called Gojek or Grab. I think they're both the same thing because the grab bikes, we thought that, or with grab bikes, you can just grab one of them and you can't just grab a Gojek bike. Whereas we actually did end up grabbing just a Gojek bike. So yeah, they're just the same thing, but we ended up just using Gojek. When we first got there, we were actually just booking taxis and stuff. We didn't really want to get on the back of a bike. And I remember the first taxi that we got in Canggu, I think it was £4, and we're like, £4? We've literally just been driving like 10 minutes as if it's £4. And we thought that was so cheap. We eventually got us first grab bike, Gojek bike, 11 pence. It were, and we were like, oh my god, we're thinking that £4 taxis are cheap. Like the grab bike were literally 11 pence. And then after that, I don't know if that's like how much it is when you first get them, or we just had a really short route. But then everyone after that seemed to be like 50 pence. But even so, like you would literally be traveling like 15 minutes and it would be 50 pence. So like, how on earth? Another thing as well, we didn't actually take any cash with us. We were just like, we've got his Monzo, we've just put all his money into that. It'll be absolutely fine. We don't need any cash. If I went again, we would definitely draw quite a lot of cash out because the people who work in restaurants, the people that serve you and stuff like that, are the nicest people you would ever meet. We were saying that everywhere that we went, we felt like the person that was serving us owned that place and they was like taking so much pride in your service and stuff like that. And if you left any food, because like most of the time we were like, oh my god, we're so full, we can't even eat anymore. So if they come to collect it, they'd be like, is there anything wrong with this? Like, did you enjoy it? And we're just like, you just don't get that back home. They took so much pride in the place that they worked. And everyone just deserved a tip. And a tip, even if it were just like a £5, that to them is worth so much more. So I would highly recommend taking cash and tipping as much as you can. We ended up drawing cash out and we got charged for the withdrawal of the cash and stuff like that. If you ever want to buy anything from like a little stall or something like that, they're not going to accept cash. So, and there's some really nice bits as well. So you will want some cash for them as well. While we're speaking about money and prices, as well as the transport, like the bikes and the taxis and everything being so cheap, we were shocked at how cheap all the food and drink and everything is. Like, I actually can't believe how cheap it is. I can imagine that if you went to Bali like a few years ago, compared to now, it has got more expensive because of how busy it actually is. I know that a lot of people go, but the traffic is so busy. In Canggu, it's definitely the worst in Canggu. That traffic is a lot. If you go in peak times and stuff like that during the day, oh my god, it's really busy. We were really shocked at just when we went for a meal, when we went for breakfast, if we had 2 plates of breakfast or whatever we'd got, and then 2 coffees, and it was £15, and we were like, oh my god, if we had that back at home, it would be like 40 quid. Yeah, sometimes we had a meal and we were like, as if we've only paid that for how good the meal is. While I am on the subject as well of good meals, I will tell you some places that really stood out that I absolutely would definitely go back to. Yeah, we ate some really good food while we were there, but I feel like the places that really stuck out to us, if you are going to Canggu, then I would highly recommend going to a place called Skool Kitchen. And we didn't book for that as well, by the way, we literally just booked I think that night, but it has sea views and everything, and the whole vibe is just very nice. It's a very nice date place if you're wanting to go for like a nice meal. I would say though that were a lot more expensive than what we were paying, because we would probably pay like £140 for a really nice meal back home for the two of us. So that's what we would pay back home. But obviously the prices we were paying in Bali were more than half. Whereas this meal we went to at Skool kitchen were like £140. So we were like, that's expensive. But I feel like it wasn't expensive for how nice the food and the vibe and the whole setting was. So it's definitely worth it. But obviously just bear in mind it is a lot more expensive than the other places. The other meal, somewhere else I would recommend to go for food, I've already said, is Donna in Ubud. That is so nice. If you do end up going to Donna as well, I would recommend getting there early and going up to the bar and getting a cocktail called Romeo and Juliet, because I'm not really a cocktail fan, but that is one of the nicest cocktails I've ever had. I really don't like cocktails. I don't like how strong some of them are. If I can taste really strong alcohol, then it's not for me. That one was so nice, and we actually could see him making it before, and there was so much effort and time going into this cocktail, and we're like, are they our cocktails? And we're like, surely not. It literally took him about 10-15 minutes to make this cocktail. There was so much effort going into it, and there were our cocktails as well. And we were saying, right, okay, we get it. It's worth all of that wait and worth the prep time as well. And then just snowballing on from the food talk, we actually didn't get Bali belly, so I will tell you exactly what we did, because I feel like what we did is the reason why we didn't get it. So we decided not to eat chicken, but not completely rule it out. We were like, it's not like, no, we're definitely not eating any chicken. Like, if something came and had chicken in it, we'd just eat it. When I go away, I always have a Caesar salad. I feel like a lot of girls do. It's just such an easy lunch to have. I feel like when you're chilling by the pool or at the beach and stuff like that, then a Caesar salad, some fries and a Coke is just, it just slaps, doesn't it? And we actually did see a TikTok that if you have a Coke with every meal that you have, it's meant to help Bali belly, because of obviously all the shit that's in Coke, then it obviously helps. We was having quite a lot of fizzy drinks. Well, we did have quite a lot of fizzy drinks because we were drinking like near enough a Coke with every meal. We did that, and we also had probiotics that we were taking a week before we flew, and then we were taking probiotics every day whilst we were there. Also, we were taking charcoal tablets, but we took them just while we were there in Bali. So every day we were taking one probiotic and 2 charcoal tablets while we were there, literally doing it first thing in the morning. And we feel like that we're fighting off things in a stomach, because don't get me wrong, we did have a bit of a, let's just say we needed to go to the toilet a lot more, but I feel like that happens when you're on holiday. Like, I genuinely feel like you always end up needing to go to the toilet more because of different foods and stuff like that, but that is what the probiotics do help with. So I would recommend doing that if you are going to Bali. We did also buy a shower filter as well off Amazon. I think it were about £17, and it was dead easy to install. I thought, oh my god, I'm glad that I've got Alex, because I wouldn't have a clue how to install it. But you literally just screw off the shower head and then screw the shower filter on and then screw the shower head back on. I washed my hair quite a lot whilst I was there, and I would hate to think that I was going to be damaging it. I feel like I've really neglected it whilst I've been there anyway. I do feel like it's thinned out a lot, but I think it'd have been way worse if I'd have not had the shower filter. So that's another thing that I would recommend to do as well, which I'm so glad that we did. We also had some bite spray if we got bit by mosquitoes, which I actually did, but more towards the end of the trip. And I also had some aftercare gel as well to use on bites. I feel like I have gone through pretty much everything. If you've been contemplating booking Bali, then 100% do it and go and see for yourself, because it is the most magical place, and I absolutely loved it. Me and my boyfriend absolutely loved it, and we're still recovering from the Bali blues and also a little bit of jet lag as well. But yeah, hope this video was helpful and you've enjoyed watching. If you have any questions on Bali or any questions in general, then just please let me know below and I'll be happy to answer them. Thanks for watching.